welcome. As I walk in, I see the video. So just as an FYI, that is a camera which is placed in the ASRS system. So you see the different shuttles, boxes moving. So it's nice to see how technology works from the inside out as well. So very good. Good. Well, welcome again to the state of the business of 2021. It's my pleasure to try to explain how 2021 went, sales-wise, budget-wise, trying to also go back a little bit and revisit some of the things we did in 2021, some projects, some initiatives, try to explain that, highlight a couple of things, then move into the people, employee side of things, and some recruitment, some values. We stand still, again, with some initiatives we took there. And then to cap it off, I also want to look forward. 2022, it's the beginning, January 7th of 2022. So there's a lot in the pipeline. We have quite a lot of ambitions as well. So I'd like to share that with you as well. So that is a little bit on the menu today in the next hour. By all means, if you have questions here in the room or remotely, please interrupt. I'm happy to explain to the best of my abilities on any questions you might have. Good. But let's start with looking back. Let's start with looking at what we were able to realize sales and budget-wise. If I go to the first slide, I will show you a couple of numbers. So bear with me a little bit, but I'm trying to give you some context. This is the sales we realized in the Americas over the last 20-ish years. It's expressed in $1 million, and you see bottom line some qualifier, but actually it's for the all of the Americas. And what does that mean? That means the sales from Canada, USA, Mexico, what we do in Latin America and Brazil. It's external party sales. What does that mean? That means that our sales to customers. If I sell to Canada because Canada needs it for their stock, and then in turn they will sell it to their customer, that sales between me and Canada is not included. It's really sales to external customers. So what you see, and I will not go back to the beginning of that slide, that would take us way too far, but you see the last 10 years, we saw a nice growth. I think what happened in 2020, I think we still hear it every day in the news, so I will not dwell too much on that, but Corona hit, we saw a drop. I think this was the first drop in over 10 years. The last time we dropped in sales was around the financial crisis in 2008, 2009. Then we also saw a drop. So 2020, we saw the drop. I think the end of 2020, early 2021, when we were discussing budget discussions for 2021. So for last year, we struggled. It's hard. We were still in the middle of COVID. What can we expect the year going forward? What can we expect to realize into 2021? So we put the budget at 454 million, which was close to our actual sales number of 2019. That was a growth of 8.6%. I think the very nice part is this. This is, we put forecast FC at the bottom here of the slide. You can eliminate that. Those are real figures now. It's a little bit higher, even it's 488. 488 million is where we ended up. That's a growth of 16.6%. So if I look back historically, that's probably the best growth we've seen in over 10 years. So we had a very good year, 2021. With a lot of struggles, with a lot of issues, still ongoing, quite some challenges, if I'm honest, for the time being, but nonetheless, a positive year. Just a very short moment to look at it month by month. I think you see here COVID hitting, so suddenly our sales dropped really hard, and it actually took us quite some time, and I would say up till March of 2021 to really get back on track. I think the beginning of last year, 2021, although the numbers are really good end of year, the beginning was slower. So we accelerated throughout the course of 2021 sales-wise. If I say struggles, I think we all know, if you walk around in the warehouse, I did the day before yesterday, staging, put away, packaging, very challenging, very challenging. So supply chain disturbed us quite a lot last year. I'm confident in a negative way to say that also in 2022, I expect still a lot of struggles. I don't expect things to get structurally better very quickly neither. I think one of the most important ports, for instance, in China is closed again. That will impact us as a business straight away. So supply chain, I think, but then of course good numbers. August record sales month, and then as of September we did daily average sales of 2 million plus. 2 million plus was a little bit, I wouldn't say the holy grail, but the target we tried to achieve. We struggled a long time to get it, but as of September, consistently, we were able to hit that. Tot in December with year end, but September, October, November, we hit that threshold. So very well done. If I try to express it in sales channels, it looks the following. And a sales channel, what is that? A sales channel is a way we approach customers. For smaller countries, Canada, it's one country, and then we report just the sales figures for Canada. For the USA, you have a big block, the one you see here. So that's close to 300 million we realized in 2021. But we also have different sales channels. We approach some OE customers. We approach some customers out of flight, some other sales channels. So we focus on different type of sales channels. Canada, plus 22.5%. So a very nice growth. I think USA also grew strong, but suffered a little bit more on the rental side of things. If I go to Latin America, you see a small anomaly. You see that we have a little, it seems like we have a little drop. So the forecast is lower than the budget. How does that come? But that comes because we see that we are selling to Latin America a lot out of the European warehouses, more than what we anticipated. So if you combine the turnover we do out of the US and out of Europe into Latin America, we are exceeding budget. And the sales efforts, and that's important to mention that here, the sales efforts are being done out of the USA. So we do them out of here, but they are reported in a certain way, where depending on where we ship the goods from. So all in all, also there for Latin America, we exceeded budget, so job well done. Mexico plus 23.4%, very nice result. I think Brazil, fantastic, almost close to 40%. Why is that? Part of that is agri. So in 2021, what we saw is that the agri business really took off. Historically, Brazil is active on the ag side of things. So agri we mainly do in Europe, plus Brazil, Australia, South Africa, a couple of countries, export countries as well. And one of them is Brazil. And that's one of the reasons, there are many reasons, of course, that's one of the reasons why they are performing that well. And then SSI, plus 8.4%. That might seem on the lower side, but in reality, it is not. SSI is the business we run here out of the first floor, so out of Olete. Okay, their customers, because we speak in sales channels, a big chunk or big part of their customers are OEM, original equipment manufacturers. But what does that mean? In reality, what happens that a lot of manufacturers or vehicles are struggling today. They struggle to the extent that there is a chip shortage, supply chain issues. So the lead times for many products, vehicles are very long at the time being. If you want to buy a car today or a forklift, you have very long lead times. They struggle from that because they deliver parts to those same manufacturing companies. And they don't have the chips, so they don't manufacture, so they don't need to supply superior SSI products. So we suffered a little bit from that. But all in all, the numbers are good. It's still plus 8.4%. We cannot complain by far not. Should be really happy with that part. So that's a little bit SSI. I think Flight is the last one on this list. I don't know if everybody here in the room knows Flight. Flight is a company we own in Pennsylvania, Carlisle, Pennsylvania. And they are specialized in electronics. Electronics repairing, controls, joysticks, but also selling electronics and battery products. So did really well. I think we budgeted on the low side there, plus 2.4%. But if you see where we ended up, they had a fantastic result. So also for them, from their side, very well done. So in total, the number I just mentioned, 487, which in reality turned out to be 488. However, it's 2022. So from a sales from a sales perspective, it's the moment where we push reset. So we are very happy of what he did in 2021. We try now to look on the other side. We try to look forward. What are our ambitions for 2022? What do we hope to achieve in the coming year? The build-up of the slide is similar. So I am just again with the sales channel. So for USA, we want to grow with 7% to 370 million. For Canada, plus 7.4%. Latin America, 7.8%. Mexico, 7.5%. So similar figures. I think once again, Brazil will try to outrun all of us with a budget of plus 15.1%. SSI, plus 7.5%. And again, flight, a very nice number, plus 8.3%. So all in all, our target for next year is 518 million compared to the 488 we did this year. So we want to grow with 7.7%. We will see how that goes. I think 2022 again shapes up to be a strange year. There is a lot of supply chain issues still ongoing, other disturbances in the market. So we'll have to see how the year will start up. But we are confident that we should at least be able to reach that level of growth. And to cap it off, because I'm giving you a lot of numbers, I apologize for that. But to cap it off, I want to put Americas, so the whole of the Americas from Canada to the whole South America, in perspective of TVH as a global company. So if you look at TVH as a global company, I would just show you figures in $1 million. This slide is the exception, it's €1 million. So if I put it in perspective, and I look at the different regions we have in TVH parts global, the first one is EMEA, and EMEA stands for Europe, Middle East, and Africa. That's the big part of our business activity. You see, close to 650 million euros. They had a plus 20.2% growth. I think next up is Americas, is us, close to 400 million euros, with a growth of 16.5%. Two remarks to that. The growth we have seen in Europe started earlier in the year. So in one of the previous charts I showed, January and February was still slow last year here. We only picked up gradually in the course of the year. So if I look at the end months, the last quarter, for instance, of 2021, then you see that our growth was in line with EMEA or even above that. So we really accelerated throughout that year. And the second remark would be around currency exchange. I think the euro to dollar or dollar to euro also did not move in our advantage last year. So that hurts also a little bit because we buy a lot in euro. APAC, 52 million plus 15.5%. And then finally, China, 1.5, very small, plus 11%. So those were the numbers. I would like to go to the next part or the chapter in the explanation of state of business and try to highlight some of the projects we did last year. By doing that, you naturally forget some things because you cannot mention everything. So it's not an exhaustive list. I think everyone in this room or in the call is working on many things. We don't mention all of them, but we try to highlight a couple of them. That does not take away anything from all the different projects we'd like to do, or we are still doing as we speak. As some of you know, I'm still relatively new to the States. So last year I was very excited around the February mark. I still see some people here also today with the Chiefs gear. So I have to say that February date was quite a disappointment, I think, for many people here in the room as well. So let's hope this year is better if we make it there, but I trust we will make it. But okay, we only picked up from there. Let's say we moved in the right direction, at least TVH, after that date. I think the second point on which I wanted to highlight was an acquisition we did, Entella. Entella is a company was a company based in Michigan, Holland, so in the northern part of the United States. And it's a strange animal to the extent Entella does business slightly different than TVH. So they focus on two sets of customers. So remember sales channels. Which customers do you try to target? They have two sales channels. They go on the one hand side for B2C. They go for end users, what TVH typically does not do. So they sell over Amazon and they have a website where end users, people like you and me, can buy. TVH typically does not do that. We focus on B2B, so on professional companies, dealerships, repair shops, that kind of business, traders, and so on. So what do? We split the business of Entella, the part which is B2B, we try to integrate within TVH. And we did that. We did it successful. I'm actually more than happy to say that the integration went well. And we see really an acceleration of growth with a number of the former customers of Entella. So well done. The B2C part, on the contrary, we kept separate. And it's now being run by the former general manager of Entella. He runs that separately. So he buys a lot with us, but he is responsible for that end user business. We don't want to do that as TVH. So that's April. I think in May, we did another big project. We moved, and you can see the video. Some of the in the video you see is of the new building in South Carolina. Actually, it's not a small project. We move a DC And we only moved it 8 miles. So we moved it from Duncan, South Carolina to Greer, but it's a massive undertaking. It's 70,000 square feet. It's a lot of work by a lot of people. I have to thank the people in South Carolina very much. I think we did it really well. Typically, if you move these kinds of facilities or warehouses, what you have is complaints, you have issues, parts are lost, customers are complaining, and so on. I think it's to the testament of everybody working or worked on this project that I didn't pick up on that. So we are getting used to that in TVH in moving. We did it really well. It's not small, so I don't want to take it for granted, but a job very well done by the team involved there. I think the second thing we did in the month of May, we put it in May, but actually it's something which ran over 18 months, is moving 2 manufacturing facilities. So in Grays Lake, Illinois, I don't know if probably some of you have seen that, and for sure also in the call, we do a couple of things. We have a distribution center, we have a machine shop, MHS, and we also had a manufacturing EVC. The EVC part, we moved here, a big part of that we moved here into the third phase, the manufacturing pot there. So I don't know if any one of you has been there recently, that really expanded. And there used to be a couple of working tables. Nowadays, it's really full. Why? Because we moved EVC and we also moved CTEC. CTEC active in the joysticks, the manufacturing of joysticks. We moved that from Ohio, Westchester in Ohio, sorry, here also towards our manufacturing in the third phase. You will sometimes hear the acronym AMO, that is Assembly and Manufacturing in Olathe. That's how internally we start to referring to the manufacturing we do here in Olathe. That is that place there on the third phase. I think we did it well. I think here we struggled a little bit in the beginning because the moment we relocated was the moment that suddenly sales picked up. So we were just in the moment trying to hire people to help and struggling to find them, low on stock because we are moving and suddenly sales picked up. So we struggled there a little bit on top of supply chain issues. But I think in the meantime, we stabilized. We really put some nice efforts in that. So things are going quite well as we speak. Then we did some smaller acquisitions in Europe. I will not spend too much time on that. One is in Sweden, 2 million. So on the lower side, a company focused on heavy duty forklift parts. Heavy duty forklift parts, that is not, how should I say, the bulk of the integration will happen in Europe, but we will learn. They were active in some forklifts or some parts which are useful for the Americas market. So we will pick up on that as well. And then the second one was an acquisition we did very close to home in Belgium, meaning it's a company which is almost less than a mile away from TVH in Belgium. Battery supplies, there was also a shareholding connection. So we knew that company. But it was acquired now in May, 43 million euros, so rather big, but low margin. I think this integration will happen in Europe, sorry, and then to be very precise, mostly in Belgium. This will impact us in the Americas much less, but nonetheless, an important part. I think what is important for us in the Americas is this part. In October 2020, we started to communicate around the fact that there was going to be a shift in the shareholding of TVH, so our wider organization. What happened? I think historically TVH was founded, and like most of you know that, by 2 families: the T family in TVH, the Motte, and the VH, the Van Haast family. I think in the course of 2020, there were discussions where they jointly decided to separate. So VH, Pascal, stepped out of the shareholdership of TVH. He stepped out, and at the same time, the Termote family increased its shareholding from 50%, because they used to be 50-50, to 60%. That meant that the remaining 40%, there was a search for a new shareholder for the remaining 40%. That took a couple of months, and in July 2021, it was communicated, announced that the company, the Belgium holding company D'Ieteren, would acquire that 40%. I think D'Ieteren, if I can mention a couple of things, the company is older than the country of Belgium. So they are a 7th-generation company. They were founded early 1800s. So that's quite remarkable. I think there are very few companies worldwide who have a tenure over that period, so over 200 years. So that's quite remarkable. And it also tells us a couple of things. It means it's a family company. The chairman of the board is a person which goes by the name D'Ieteren. Stable company, long-term, family-driven as well. So it's something we believe matches quite closely to the values of TVH as well. So we trust in the long-term stability of that partner for TVH as well. And then finally, to cap off the year, I go again from Belgium to Mexico. I think we relocated one of the warehouses in Mexico. So in Mexico, we have two locations. We have Mexico City and we have Monterrey. Monterrey is the smaller one. But what we saw is, and again, the picture you see is of Monterrey itself. We saw that in Mexico, we have a lot of will call business. So people coming up to the counter, up to 70%. But the other thing we saw is that we were badly located. So we were located outside of the economic center in Monterrey, meaning that few people went up to the will call. So sales were lower than what we could potentially realize. So what did we do? What we, Antonio, the Mexican, and the Mexican team did, they moved that location towards right into the middle of the economic activity in Monterrey. And they did that towards the end of the year. We trusted that again, that will generate some activity, some more sales going forward. So that's a little bit the year in review. Again, only a snapshot of a couple of things which happened. For sure, many, many more active things are happening in the organization as we speak. Let me move to the third part, employees. Probably the most important part of the explanation. Let me start by some numbers. I think today we are 1,200 people in the Americas. I will repeat it a couple of times going forward now in this presentation, but that's a problem. It should be higher. So we struggle with recruiting people. If I walk around in the warehouse, you clearly see that. I see that if I speak to people in the offices as well. There is too much things we want to do. We have too much ambitions, initiative, projects, volume, name it as you want, for the staffing at this moment we have. So we struggle with recruiting. It is a big focus in 2022 to staff up. We need to do that if we want to realize our ambition. So that is very, very important. We hired a lot of people and we also promoted a lot of people. But the challenge will be in our people organization to realize the ambitions, which I will come to explain for next year and beyond. We will need to invest in the organization and the staff. I will not share all of the details of this slide. For those who recently joined, some explanation, probably you heard this one, and we keep you going and growing. And for me, that's an important sentence. It's about investing in the organization, and it's about also the mission and purpose, how we look at the customers. And by giving them the replacement parts, they can repair the machines and as such, keep going themselves and growing themselves and their customers as well. But it's about the brand key. And brand key, what is that? We reflected in 2021, what does TVH stand for? If you do communication to the outside world, if you do communication internally, what is the message we try to convey around TVH? What do we hope people believe TVH is as an organization if they come work for us, but also if you are a long-time employee? What do you feel TVH stands for? And you try to do that by mission, and to a certain extent, it's also about the vision as well. But the most important, I think, for the discussion today is around the values. So I'll come to explain one by one. On the backhand side of the room, you see them very nicely pinned against the wall. But we try to change the values. So we try to not change, we try to make it more clear what we trust or what we hope TVH stands for everybody in this room. And we try to change them as well by activating them. So it used to be a word, a concept. Now we put a verb in it. You will see if I run through them, but we try to activate them. That is the way how we will try to make it visible, work with them in the coming months, years as well. Let me run through them. Okay, the first one is pursue excellence. And what we do well every day. I give a simple example, and I go back to investing in the organization. It's an example. It's one example of many things we try to do, but nonetheless an important one. We try to continue to invest in the organization. We offer a lot of training possibilities. Some are job-driven, but some are not job-driven. Some are an opportunity to broaden your skills, your expertise as a professional. Not necessarily 100% focused to your job, but growing as a person, growing as a professional as well. We have invested a lot in the last couple of years. We will continue to do that. And we offer 93 classes, close to 800 people follow them. That's a lot. And we are not planning, on the contrary, to scale that down. We further want to invest in that going forward as well. The second one is act with joy. And we bring energy, enthusiasm in everything we do. And I think it's a good moment to put some things in the spotlight. I think, marketing, you prepared a small video. Let's watch the video. I've seen the video a couple of times now, and it still amazes me. There's so much nice stories in that video. Also amazing achievements. I think Nicolas was 45 years. It's humbling at MHS. I was there a couple of months ago. That's amazing. But also on TVH1 winners, there's a couple of fantastic people who really did extraordinary stuff. I think this morning we announced the November winner. So that's Christian from Pennsylvania. Also, again, he just made it in time because there are some snowstorms in Pennsylvania, but happy to announce. And I think what we also announced, I think yesterday, was the TVH Employee of the Year, Kim. So she was the TVH1 winner December last year. I think most of you know her. Fantastic work done by her in the course of 2021 and probably also many years before. So very happy that she has been chosen as TVH1 winner of the year as well. Let me continue with the values. We had the P, we had the A, we go to the R, remain open-minded. We value clarity, mutual respect, kindness, and open communication. It's a very tangible, practical example of that part. We want to work on communicating. So instead of having a formal performance process once per year, we want to move into your progress matters. I trust you received some communication emails on that one. In the meantime, it will kick off early 2022, but it's more about regular interaction, sitting together, having a regular short-term interaction with your responsibles to try to check in on a continuous basis. Take initiative, we think and act as responsible owners, ambitious and passionate. And here I would like to take the time to move back or shift the view a little bit to the engagement survey. So what you see on the top side of the slide is the participation. For the Americas, there was 81% participation rate, which is nice, a little bit lower than global and the past, but still a very nice one. I think on the lower part of the slide, you see the participation rate country per country, and there you see indeed there was one person in Brazil who did not do it. So all in all, very nice numbers. But more important, if I go to the results, and the results here to clarify are the Americas results. So this is the input we received from the whole of the Americas, from Canada to the south of America. We brought it together. So there is a top 5 scoring question and a low scoring 5 question. I think on the top side, where we did well, is that I clearly understand how my job contributes to the company's current goal. We did well. Where we also did well is this company is committed to building a safe workplace, which is important. So that's good. Also good, my direct supervisor survey helps me to get the resources, and I understand customer wants and needs. And finally, and that is for sure something we are quite proud of, as well as an organization, I feel proud telling people where I work. So also there, we scored well. That being said, I think the lower 5 are more important because that is where we could do better, where we have to do better going forward. I think the first one is decisions are made at the appropriate level. So that's not the first time we see that. I think there's a sentiment within the organization that account ownership and being able to take decisions at the appropriate level is not where it should be. So that's something to look into. I think the other part is also this company is committed to providing a competitive total rewards package that is on the lower side, typically in any engagement survey, but also here. So something to look into. It is easy to collaborate with other functions or teams within the company. We don't score well. That means that there is boundaries. We are not one as a team. I think it's sales versus materials versus logistics. We need to work together, find a way to break through those barriers. So there we score low as well. There is an open and honest two-way communication in this company. Not good on the low side. We hope with your progress matters that will evolve, that there is regular check-ins, communication in a two-way open setting as well. And then finally, there are enough people to do the work we are very much aware of. So that's an issue. If I move to the global side, so those are the 3 topics. So what I just explained is Americas. Also on a global level, we identified 3 things overarching where we want to focus on. I think they are very much in line with what we see in the Americas. Collaboration. It is easy to collaborate with other functions, a problem in the Americas. I think diversity we want to focus on. That's really something as an organization we need to work on. And then finally, resources. So it's not only a problem, but lack of resources in Americas, it's a global issue to tackle. And then finally, I go to the last one. And the last one is show courage. And with the previous values, I gave an example all the time. I think for the last one, I don't have an example, but the example is in trying to explain our ambitions of 2022. I think if you will see the different things you will try to achieve, the different things you will try to do, as such, I believe that's a token of courage, to say it mildly. So without further ado, let me move towards the outlook, towards our ambitions for 2022 and beyond. And I think the way we build it up is the strategic plan as a basis. So our strategic plan, in the context of that new shareholder entering TVH, we updated our strategic plan. So there you see the old building blocks, we updated them towards 11 new building blocks. We find some and we put them now in 3 buckets. We have foundational ones, and let me start with the foundational ones. I think on the people side, okay, there is a new VP HR starting on Monday. So we know we need to shake things up on the HR side of things. We need to recruit a lot of people, so that's important. We strengthen that HR team as well. So that's one thing. I think, just to give you an example on the organizational side, I will not go into too much detail, but for instance, okay, we also want to move the way we organize our sales team. Sales team, again, I go to that sales channel, the way we look at different set of customers. This is how we are organized today. So that goes from the different countries here into how we split up the USA. And the change will happen in the USA. So we will no longer focus on government sales going forward. Why? Because we see that it becomes very complex to sell to the US government. Red tape, compliance, so we want to scale that down. It's too complex even for an organization our size. That's one thing, but the more important is where historically in the USA we split between rental companies and dealerships. We want to step away from that split because we see that the customers are much more mixed. People who do rental companies are not focused anymore on only a certain aerial equipment and so on. They also do rental of forklifts. So there is opportunity for us to do forklifts. What we also see on the other hand is that forklift dealers suddenly also start to sell rental equipment or start to sell typical rental equipment, booms, scissor lifts, and so on. So we will try to reorganize ourselves to be more performant when going to the customer, when going to the customers. Why do we do that? We believe that by doing that, we will be more efficient in attacking our sales. Good, that's one example. I think the next one, sustainability. Sustainability is the new building block. So if we updated our strategic plan from a couple of years ago, there was one block we added, and that was sustainability. The moment we added it, we knew that we weren't to a certain extent, we weren't ready to put it as an objective. Why? We didn't know what we wanted to do. We didn't have the framework. We don't have objectives. Still today, we don't have that, but we start to work on it. So we hired somebody, Anton, you see that person, who will globally try to structure that for our organization. And target is in the first couple of months of next year, we will try to put more framework to that, ambitions, real tangible actions of what we try to do. So that's the second foundational block. I think the third one is one way of working. One way of working is first of all, is the evolution of what we used to refer to internally as cost management. The cost management was a little bit management driven, where by way of working, we say, okay, we try to give responsibility to the different teams in the organizations. Why? Typically, if you speak to teams in the organization, within the team, people know what goes well, what does not go well, what we can improve. So we set up this program, and we started initially in Europe, but we also now are active in the US. And this program, resolves around smaller initiatives within the teams. And those initiatives are called diamonds. We did a couple of them in the course of 2021, and we did some logistics one. And our aim is to further roll it out in 2022. I realize it's quite theoretical what I say, so I also included an example. I give you the example of domestic transfers. If you look or you go into the warehouse, in the second phase of the warehouse, you see all those trailers docked DC per DC. Pennsylvania, California, everybody has his own trailer. And on the left-hand side, we prepare for all those shipments. Because why? It's a massive number of lines we ship out of Oleta every day, week, to all the different DCs in the United States. But what we come to realize is that whole process is quite blurred. It's also transparent. So we don't really know how we do that. So that Diamond, that initiative around the transfers, is about giving insights, generating KPIs, and how that is going. Do we do it on time? Is the quality good enough? And so on. So we try to measure it. The second thing we'd like to do is we'd like to put in place a structured communication. Today, the communication on those shipments between Oleta on the one hand side and those DCs, that's not so much in place. So the left-hand side does not always know what the right-hand side will do. So we worked on that. And then finally, the last part of that initiative, that small diamond, is trying to identify 1 or 2 small quick wins. I think we did it well, this one. I think we started with South Carolina. So far the results, we are quite happy with it. The idea is now in 2022 to try to roll it out for the different DCs as well. This is an example of a local initiative within a certain team. We hope in 2022 to start much more. There are already quite some proposals out of logistics as well on things we can improve team by team. We go to must-win battles. What is a must-win battle? A must-win battle for TVH is an area where we believe if you want to see that whole trend line by which I started, so that growth over the last 10 years, if you want to continue that for the next 5 years, there's a couple of things we must do, and we must do them well. The first one is omnichannel. Omnichannel, a lot of initiatives under that name, but what is the most important? It's around e-commerce. We have worldwide, we have 3 different e-commerce systems. For the Americas, we have Ermin, that's the most known here. Europe has MTS, so that's a different one. And Agri has MBF, that's still another different one. If you know that, I give you the example for the Americas, that 90% of our turnover comes over e-commerce. So dealers putting it in the system, it arrives here, goes to the warehouse. You understand that changes to that system are very, very important. We cannot afford to mess this up. So doing this well, going towards a new system, and we need to do that because customers are asking for more capabilities, for more functionalities, and so on. We need to develop. Doing it well is very, very important for the success of the business. So that's for sure number 1 must-win battle. We hope to bring the first customers on the test site by the mid of next year, so end of June 2022. I think technical knowledge and data, I will try to explain them together, and I will refer back to e-commerce. On our e-commerce today, we show over 1 million different SKUs. So that's different parts we have in the group on stock. For all those parts, we have applications, fits on this machine, cross information, pictures, technical data, quality, suppliers, and so on. It's a massive amount of data. If you don't structure that data well, people will not find their parts on the e-commerce system because they want to be reassured that what they are looking for, what they need to repair their machine is the part we will sell them. So structuring that data, showing it correctly on e-commerce is crucial again for the success. We work on that, we can still do much better. So that is the data block. If I speak about technical knowledge, it's about investing in our organization in that technical knowledge. We sell a technical product. We develop every year new products. We must develop every year many new products. It's in manufacturing, it's in quality, and so on. So having that technical knowledge to support the customers, because more and more they look at us to support them with that technical, with their technical questions, crucial for us to do as well. And the last one is TVH Innovatis. TVH Innovatis, in simple words, is the following. Over the course of the next couple of years, we will step away from our current ERP system Link, and we will move towards a new system, a system by which we run our activities. So that will affect almost everybody in this room, in this call. That's a major change. What do we see today is that Link, our system, is starting to limit our growth and ambitions. It has limited technical capabilities to further grow, scalability, it's hard to roll it out in new regions, modularity, okay, everything is always impacted, hence sometimes the many outages we have. So if you want to grow, continue to grow as an organization, we need to invest in that new system. It's a program which will run over 5 years. It probably will be painful working on it. The change is not simple and so on. So we know what is coming, but we will try to do it as good as possible. Why do we do that? All of these must-win battles, of course, to generate profitable growth. And we don't do an ERP change because we think it's fun. We do it to continue to grow. I will give you 2 examples of core growth. And the first one is a strange one, but in the setting of today, I wanted anyhow to explain it to you. One of the things in 2022 we will start, and that will impact many of you here or in the call, is we will start to make some changes in the Oleta warehouse. What has happened over the course of many years, we have grown that warehouse in an, I wouldn't say inconsistent, but in a chronological way. I explain myself. First, we had phase 1, and we worked within the realm of phase 1. We added phase 2, and we added phase 3, and we added phase 4. But what is now the result is that logistic flow in our warehouse is not logic anymore. We receive part in phase 1. We receive part in phase 3. We do some packaging in 2. We start receiving in 4. So everything is scattered. So we need to reset and try to make that logical flow coming into the into that warehouse again. And we need to do that now, because the other challenges we have is that we need to expand. We need more storage capacity. But to do that, first of all, we will need to bring that logical flow back into the warehouse. How will we do that? This is how it is today. This is how it should come tomorrow. So we will step away from receiving here and packaging here. Instead, we consolidate all receiving in phase 3. And this is a mezzanine structure which will be installed in phase 4. 2 tiers. Ground level will be packaging. Upper level will be technical quality, photo, and some other technical data and quality. We will do that over there. That mezzanine will then, with conveyors, be connected to the rest of the warehouse as well. So that's a little bit what we aim to do in 2022. We first need to do this before we can expand storage capacity. So that's the first step. I'm not sure we will finalize this in 2022, likely not, but for sure we will start. So we'll see the beginnings of this in the course of 2022. I think another example of growth is then I move from the USA straight down in the Americas to Brazil. In Brazil today, we have 2 locations. We have one in Sao Paulo region and one in the south. We want to add a third one. What do we see in Brazil? We are successful, but we can be more successful. How? Being closer to the customers. And you can see by adding that location in Minas Gerais, because that is the place where we're looking to add a third branch, we can improve our one-day delivery from 43 to 63%. That's a big jump. That's a big jump that will impact a lot of customers. The reliability, dependability of TVH as a customer, as a supplier for next day purposes will increase dramatically. So we will believe that this will contribute to the growth in Brazil going forward as well. And then to cap it off, I go to 2 subsets. I think and you know that we were moving away from being strictly focused on forklift. We move into different type of equipment. One important one is SAM construction. We invested a lot in new product development. We added a lot of new SKUs over the last couple of years, also in 2021. We will continue to do that. Also in 2022, a lot of new products will be added. I think the sales going up, still slow on the bigger scheme or low on the bigger scheme of things, but we see very high growth percentages. So confident going into 2022 to do some nice things there. And then ag, also there we try to diversify. We acquired the Bepco business already 9 years ago in Europe. We start to look to bring it more to the Americas. So in 2022, the end of Q1, early Q2, we will start this program for ag in Mexico. I think we are already starting to ship all the product. We did a market study, which tractors run, which parts would we need, the pricing, and so on. We also set an e-commerce system. We should be ready to kick off by Q2 2022. So that's exciting for Mexico to see what that will give us as well. And then finally, building block number 11 is acceleration of new service. There's a couple of new services, for instance, Gem1, which is then telematic driven, where you also want to put some more focus going forward. That being said, I hope I was able to give you a flavor, at least, of the different things we try to do in 2022. I tried during the last hour to take you through the different steps of what we achieved, first of all, sales-wise in 2021, and also some projects, and try to also give you vision on our budgets from 2022 and what we try to do project-wise as well. I'm not sure at this stage if there are questions. I'm more than happy to answer them, either in the room or remotely. And I want to thank you for sure for the attention, and I hope that together with all of you, we can realize some or many of the things we just showed on the presentation as well. I'm not sure if there are questions. If not, I want to thank you on this Friday afternoon. Wish you a good day, wish you a good weekend. May the Chiefs win on Sunday. And yeah, let's realize many of the things we just showed. Have a good weekend. Thank you very much.